All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the August 11th Town of Lewisboro Town Board meeting. For those in the room, the exits are towards the front of the building and the rear of the building. If you would, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll start with public comment. Anyone here in the room would like to get up and speak? Say anything? Your name, Hamlet, and 3 minutes. Yes.
Hi there, my name's Elena Dunn. I live in South Salem, and I just want to thank the wonderful group of volunteers that we had at the donation day for the library fair this past Saturday. Collected a lot of books, a lot of wonderful attic treasures, and we have 2 more donation days this coming Saturday and the following. And we are always in need of more volunteers, some strong muscles to lift books and carry them. And we had a great group already, but sign up for more on lewisborolibrary.org. Come on in.
Anyone else?
Simone from Vista. I just wanted to say thank you to John Winter. He is a gem. We should appreciate him. He came and did our roads. He's unbelievable. He knows every detail. I learned so much by speaking with him, watching them dig up the road, mill it, do all these things I never knew in my life. He couldn't be nicer. He couldn't be more knowledgeable. So when the raises come around, don't forget him. Thank you.
That's right. He's great.
Anyone else would like to say anything? Going once, twice. Okay, how about on Zoom?
There are no hands up.
No. Okay. Right. Let's see. Okay, next we have communications. Actually, I don't have any communications, so we'll skip over that. Consent agenda, which includes the approval of minutes of July 28, 2025, and the monthly reports from the building department and the police department. So I'll go ahead and motion that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we don't have any old business, so we'll go right into new business. So the first is a resolution approving an architect for Horton Police conceptual design study. So we received 3 proposals from 3 different architecture firms, and they were reviewed. In fact, the one that's being recommended is one that our police chief went to see their presentation. Conridge is doing the same thing, and this company will actually, KG&D Architects, they will actually they have the lowest fee for providing a feasibility analysis with some conceptual drawings for multiple locations. So it's not, but I emailed the board with all, there's 3 different proposals. And so basically this one is $14,500. That was in that email that I sent.
Yeah.
And compared to the other 2 had, it was basically a menu of different options, but one was 87,000. Actually, for this first part, the conceptual, the pre-design was 31,000, and the other one was about 30,000 hourly, not to exceed 30,000. The one that we're proposing to select is a fixed fee of 14,500.
And they have the experience.
They do. Correct.
You should recommended by who?
So the chief actually sat down with, we reviewed the proposals. He actually met 2 of the 3 firms. And also Kevin Kelly gave his recommendation, and KG and the architect were the first on his list.
When was this meeting?
This wasn't it was just a conversation we had when we had another architect firm here to do a site visit of the parcel, and then they came up with, they submitted their proposal. So the meeting with the chief was before when they did the presentation at Pound Ridge.
Right,
So
he
his
went,
decision
he
was
went to
based
that
on-
meeting, he went to
Yes.
listen to them speak.
Right,
But when, so last I checked, I was liaison to the police department and Rich
Right.
was co-liaison. I wasn't included in that conversation, that meeting or anything, so. At first I heard about it with the emails with the recommendation, but
so
Putting
this, so
that
let me,
aside,
let me just
what-
clarify.
so-
So when that meeting happened, it was extended to any town board member that wanted to participate in that meeting. I couldn't make it, so the chief made it, and I believe Kevin Kelly went as well.
to Pound Ridge.
Pound Ridge, correct?
Yes, no, but that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with our town. That has to do with the presentation that they gave in Pound Ridge.
Correct, which is
Speaking about conversations about our town,
right.
two different things.
Right, so we met with Kevin Kelly, met with the chief,
We
Had-
we.
we meaning me,
Oh,
And Kevin Kelly, who's the building inspector,
and who's an architect that has experience.
but he's
Yeah,
not, he's not hired by the town to be an architect. Kevin's wonderful,
So-
but he's not
Yeah.
our in-house architect, and he's drawing plans all over the place for everything.
So now we're hiring somebody to draw those conceptual plans, the initial plans, it's gonna help
Locations
us.
that we have yet to be determined.
They-
and the
we have-
size
we
of
have
the property-
Locations to give
We
us.
don't know the size of the property, we don't know.
Right now, we're, as discussed with the board, we're focusing on this property here, which we own. And we have expansion possibilities. And that's one of the sites. If the board would like to come up with another site to review, we can certainly do that under the same proposal.
No, my thought is that maybe we should actually find a site first and then hire an architect to come in and draw up the plans.
They're not
Because
drawing
you-
up plans. Let me
you-
just clarify. This is not the full engineering architect plans that then go out to bid for construction. These are conceptual
Understood.
designs,
But
yeah.
until we know where we're going, and we don't know where we're going, and
We don't have too many choices right now.
there are still things to discuss. I know
Okay.
that you have decided that this is the best location, but there are other locations.
I
that
didn't,
we
I didn't
have
say
yet to
that. I didn't say
discuss.
this was the best location. I said this is the location we currently have available to us. I
just think that we're getting in the habit of putting the cart before the horse too often. And I think the first step is to actually know where the building's going. And then we can go the
Right,
next
so.
step, which
so-
is the conceptual
So-
design. I understand what needs to go behind it. We need OCA approval. There's certain things with security that are important. Like, I understand all that. I read all those emails. I'm just saying, I think that we're putting the cart before the horse again. That's just my thought.
We're not, because the proposal that we have, the most attractive one, gives us up to 4 sites to pick from. Up to 4 sites that they will develop conceptual drawings for.
can you just go
Yeah.
over like the 14,000 and change one, which is not in the packet, exactly what?
It's not in the
they're
packet, but I'll bring it up. I mean, it's in the, you know, do you want me to read through it? I mean, this went to the board when we first received it.
doing. When was that?
You want to know exactly when was that?
Yeah, well, I was on vacation, so I was
Yeah.
catching up on stuff. So
It
can
went
I-
when we first got it a couple months back, even more than a couple months, and then it went again when I summarized it to the board. But
There was
I
an
can
email
look it
last
up.
week that came in with the details that we were talking about, whether or not to share some of the details of the
Right.
things that you have come up with for the walkthroughs and all that with the task force, right?
So July 17th was the first time it went out. You didn't see that, Rich?
I may have.
Okay.
I see hundreds of emails that come through. I try and read all of them.
Hundreds from the town email?
Yes,
I don't get hundreds, but.
over time, yes.
Okay, so that was July 17th, and then an update went out, let's see. August 4th.
Right, that was what I was talking about last week.
Yep.
Yeah, which is,
Now-
yeah, it's just.
We
going
should be coming
forward,
to these
we-
meetings prepared, and then we're voting on a recommendation.
Well, when something's
So-
not, well, that's, yeah, absolutely, which will be helpful is that if you're putting something on the agenda and it's not enclosed, at least to make a cross reference, so we can make sure everything that you want us to review, that
It
we
was
can.
It was in my email of
Which one,
August.
July
August-
17 or the
of
August
August
4th or
4th.
the?
August 4th.
Okay.
The point is included
Yeah.
in the packet, Tony. That's the point, because then when we're all coming here,
If
we're all
I-
reviewing the packet.
Yeah.
It's good to have everything in one place. When you're sitting down to go over the agenda, when you have to start hunting
So
for
when we-
emails all over the place.
Yeah.
You know, as it is, you know, I download all the expense reports and everything. I try to, as they come in, put everything in a folder, so it's all in one place. It would be nice if everything was in the packet. That would be a nice organized way to do it. Be that as it may, could you just explain to us why it's important to do this at tonight's meeting as opposed to waiting until September or until we
Because
choose the property?
we keep pushing, you know, kicking the can down the road. And now is an opportunity for this outfit to start work on at least one location that we have in mind. And again, if we make another decision about a second location this week or next week, we can go to them and say, hey, here's another location.
But then doesn't that additional, won't that potentially be a much greater total cost?
Like I said, the fixed cost was $14,500 for up to 4 sites. If you'd like for me to read from the proposal that I sent to everybody, I can do that.
Well, that way the public will know what it's about too. That's, you know,
So that's a proposal, 14,500 for a feasibility analysis for conceptual plans for up to 4 sites. So that's what it is, in summary. So I guess what I'll do is I'll go ahead and motion that we approve KGMB architecture for the conceptual design and feasibility study of up to 4 locations.
one of the things though, in the.
That was the motion. Do I have a second?
Sorry.
Discussion?
Yes,
Now you
now
can-
I,
yeah.
thank you. So in the July 23rd, which is where you're initially referring to, it's talking about stuff with.
Actually, it's July 17th. I'm not sure, July 23rd.
Well, the cover letter from July 23rd in the proposal for preliminary architectural services feasibility study, right? No,
That's from a different firm. That's not the one we're talking about here. That's the one that was more expensive. That was one that was $30,000 and change. July 23rd is a date on their proposal. On that last proposal that we received.
You'd have to go back a little bit further.
Now, these firms will still be considered for once we decide what we're gonna build and where. Then we're gonna have to decide which one will actually do the architectural design work. That is then used to develop the plans that will go out to bid for construction. Any other discussion?
Is the question loud?
No. Sorry. At the next public comment, you can, this is new business, yeah. So if no further discussion.
So what is,
Be able to post this
Sure.
proposal on the website, so
We can.
everybody in the town can see it as well.
We can do that.
And these people have experience, just so everybody in the community knows, they have experience with the Bedford Hills Fire Department, Westchester County Department of Emergency Services, which is an incredible place. Patterson Fire Department. I'm sorry, I spoke too fast, just a second. Thanks for your patience. Brewster Fire Department and Portchester Rybrook EMS. So these people have experience.
And not on there is the Pound Ridge Police Department, as well as they're currently working on Lewisboro, so renovations that they're working on.
so to put the 14 grand, so can you just give
Lewisboro.
schools?
Correct.
So can you just give what product, just so everybody can hear, what product are they going to deliver for that money?
It's right there.
No, but so the public can hear it.
Well,
Okay, so
Mary's
let's
got it
say
up on her screen, so she.
is-
Okay,
yeah.
They if I may, We understand what the company has written. We understand that the Lewisboro Police Department and the Town Court's conceptual design study should explore the feasibility of a new facility and should include, but not be limited to, the following. And they have 3 to 4 sites, up to 30 officers. We currently have 20, including all the part-time officers. It will consider a 2-bay sally port / garage for police vehicles and equipment, a holding cell and associated facilities, a courtroom for up to 49 people, as well as a waiting hall and processing space. Associated court facilities to include judges' chambers, court clerk, holding room, records, and storage space, a locker room and increased police department equipment storage space, headquarters for the Office of Emergency Management. That is really good. And
This,
space for a post-event shelter. So we'll have someplace not connected to a first responder space that we need to keep clear for first responders. And will include covered parking for town and officer vehicles, parking for visitors, town meetings and traffic court, stormwater, septic, sanitary system locations in alignment with the character of the town.
does it mention any experience with the Office of Court Administration in New York? Having experience to know what approved facilities would be, court facilities in the state of New York?
They tested on that. They're familiar with Office of Court Administration.
Well, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, is there any reference to them having submitted one or had something that's been approved?
No,
by
but
the
based
Office
on
of Court
the
Administration?
no, but based on the conversation I had with the Office of Court Administration, they have architects that will work with our architects to make sure that exits are located where they should be, that is ADA compliance, that there's a separate, conference room for the judges and extra conference room for, the attorney, the defense attorney and their client.
Right, but my understanding is that I've never submitted plans to the Office of Court Administration, but my understanding is that they have to be submitted and reviewed for their ultimate approval before
That is
anything
correct.
can be constructed.
That is correct.
So, okay, so my experience is as this company had experience submitting something and shepherding something through an Office of Court Administration approval process, which is what would have to be done in order to get a properly authorized court facility to be built.
So I don't know the answer to that question. But they're an architecture firm. They had to submit plans, there's fire department requirements for the fire department projects that they've had. There's New York State Board of Education requirements when they're building in schools. So they have familiarity, whether it's specifically with court administration, I can't answer that question.
Well, again, because
Yeah.
what we're talking about here is we're paying money to get their professional input referable to a court
Right.
facility. And that court facility would have to be, like I said, submitted and approved by the Office of Court Administration.
Right, and
So having,
Mhm.
and having a company who's had specific experience dealing with the specific entity who has to review and approve it would seem to be an on-point experience to have, since that's one of the main.
Right.
pricing in the bill.
Right, so the fact that they had some experience working with Town Ridge on that, I would assume that they have. I haven't asked them that question. But it doesn't really matter, Rich.
It
It
doesn't?
doesn't matter. Any architect, the Office of Court Administration, I was on a call with them last week. They can work with any architecture firm. It's basically,
This is true.
yeah. So you don't need an architect that has experience with OCA.
But all of the things being equal, would be more efficient, wouldn't it?
Well, they do have experience building municipal buildings.
A lot of experience.
Yeah, so it's the specific requirements from OCA, they have, like, my understanding is they have. We'll say liaison, but not really liaison, they have an architect. That will work directly. Meaning OCA has an architect that will directly work with our architects, so all the I's are dotted and T's are crossed. I've seen it before, not specifically with the Office of Court Administration. But that's, this firm has. A lot of
I-
experience in Westchester County, their name comes up quite a bit, so.
And they
I
did,
understand what Tony's saying. I understand your point, but I also understand what Tony's saying, that it's not that it's irrelevant what firm it is, but at this level for municipal buildings, they have to meet the requirements, and any changes that need to be made to the plans from Office of Court Administration will be directed to the architect, and they'll make those changes.
and they do have experience working with Bedford Hills as far as their community spaces go, so.
And again, these aren't the final plans.
Right, it is-
These are the preliminary.
Concepts.
Right.
So, and Mary read this, but I'll read it again from the, which I have, it's being shared on Zoom, but it'll be up on the screen. Associated court facilities to include judges' chambers, court clerk, holding rooms, records, and storage space.
We having technical.
I was just gonna put it up on the screen for.
It was
folks
just,
here,
it was
but
just my thought process, as close a match as we can get. For example, firm had experience, you know, developing and building a comparable court facility with a similar population with OCA, then maybe not at this phase, but at the next phase.
Yeah, at the
when they
next
have to
phase, we
draw-
can-
When they have to draw more, which,
Right.
and then when they're drawing plans, it's on the hour, right?
typically that's what they do, yeah.
Okay, so in
Yeah.
other words, if somebody says, oh.
At this age, it's not by the hour.
No, I understand.
For this firm.
Understood, but then
Yeah.
assuming they come back with concepts which we like, then the next step is to do a more detailed, which is on the hour. And if you're
And that-
hiring somebody who says, oh, we've done 10, you know, courthouses in the metropolitan area before, which has been approved by Office of Court Administration. So potentially save us money at that end, as
Right.
opposed to, you know, if you're hiring a developer to build a residential subdivision. You want somebody that's, you know, built the residential subdivision.
Right, so when we get to the point where we need architectural drawings and engineered drawings for actual construction. Then we're gonna go to these three firms again and say, give us a quote. One of them, the second one on the list, the order of potential selection is one that worked on the Bedford Hills or the town of Bedford courthouse. The expansion of the townhouse to include a courthouse.
Just,
Okay, any other discussion?
just imposing, this is just a concept, design study. It's sort of like trying to sketch out the needs assessment that the chief Alfano and the court, the judges have given to them. It doesn't mean that we're locked in these people to design the final project. But
Is it, okay.
Is there a time window for their work? Because we haven't said they mentioned a total of 4, right?
Yeah,
So it's
test plant
time,
facility on the few site 3 to 4 in the town of Lewisboro.
so how long is that? In other words, it's a year, 2 years, 5 years that we get them? But okay.
No, it'll be, they'll turn this around fairly
No,
quickly.
no, but I'm
within-
saying.
No.
As
Like if we come up with,
Sure, if you come up with it.
We have
I don't
one
think they can wait a
property.
year.
you have one property, this one,
Yeah.
that you're gonna refer to them. So his question is more of how long do we have to get additional properties to them? Is there like a time limit for which we could submit additional properties that we're taking into consideration? Was that your question?
All about council's articulation.
Yeah, I mean, so I don't know what that timeline is. Are they gonna wait a year? I mean, we shouldn't be sitting here a year from now trying to figure out what to do.
No, we've already done that.
Yeah, so. Maybe in 2 months?
So it would be
3
good
months?
to know, because
Yeah.
we're having these discussions, we're talking to the task
Right.
force again, we're giving them all sorts of stuff, so. I agree, we shouldn't be dragging our feet, we should continue, which is what
Right.
we should have done starting over a year ago. Be that as it may,
here we are.
here we are. So the question is, how long do we have to submit these additional properties? Because we have to make sure our task force gets back to us with their recommendations as to the different properties they may see, based on our conversations. And go from there. So is it like, do we have only till the end of August? Do we have to the end of September? Do we have to October? I think that's a fair question. We're not, at
Yeah,
this
I
point,
mean,
I think we're
we're-
saying
we're
no, but
at-
we need to know.
At this point, by the time they get started, it'll probably be September.
Yeah.
Right, so,
Probably.
yeah,
So we have to get all the properties to them by September.
let's say yes.
Let's say yes, but we don't know.
Okay,
Sure that
We want to
We-
take advantage,
there-
take advantage of the fact that you can
So-
sell more properties to them. if-
I am
if
sure
they-
these people are gonna be accommodating. 'Cause right now, we just gave them one site. I gave them one site, right? Because that's the one that we know about, that we've been talking about.
I think
That goes
we have
back
been
to,
talking
to,
about.
to Rich's plan about centralizing, offices here. That's the one site.
That wasn't Rich's idea, that was yours.
Early on, but then
No,
at the
Rich
last meeting,
actually
Rich was the
has
one
been
that was
talking
pushing
about
for it.
a
I just didn't want to spend $30 million right off the bat.
So the thing is, I think if we can talk to the firm and encourage a versatile approach. And that we remain agile and work with the task force. If. By the grace of the property gods above, if we find a property other than the main campus here. To suit our needs for the police and the court, perhaps on Route 35. Then we will proceed forward and hopefully meet the needs of our police and our court officials. As well as the community.
So you can get an answer to the question. We've all done this tonight, right?
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they know that we've, in fact, we were talking about Sprint Street as a potential location, but. We think, based on our town engineer's feedback and one of the other architects' feedback, is it's gonna be very difficult because of the DEC. Wetlands and the space you need today with the Department of Health for septic.
I just want to know in writing what our timeline is with them, that's all.
Okay,
Fair question.
So
okay.
with the receipt of that timeline. maybe some- maybe
No,
we'll
I
move
think we
forward.
should decide now
Yeah,
and I'll still get the
so
That's
time.
not,
Yeah. So, okay, that was the discussion. Do I have a second? I had a second.
Yeah, a
Dan
second,
was
that was
second.
discussion,
That-
now.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
aye.
Okay.
We just.
For 14,500. That was the roll call, okay.
Informal roll call.
All right. Okay, so next we have, let's go back to that file.
Resolution 8%.
Oh, for those of you who read the comments from the court, they said that they were going back to a PBM calendar. So I just confirmed with them, that's fee by mail, so that's for their traffic stuff,
Fee
fee by mail.
For those of us who don't work in the court system.
That's
Or
what that
have
means.
regular contact with.
I
Thank
was in
you.
the court system.
What that means is we, in consideration of where we're gonna go with court, can they reduce the case count by offering, we're doing more fee by mail? That's where that came from.
Usually
Yeah.
comes into play in traffic cases.
Right. Okay, next we have resolution authorizing the paint recycling event that's held park on Saturday, September 6th. Authorizing supervisor to sign the BEC event registration form.
I'll move,
Discussion? All in favor?
get those paint cans out of the basement, everybody.
As long as they're more.
All right,
Next is a resolution. It's not in the packet because we got it late last week, but it's for the secret negative declaration for the Oskalita Road
Can-
culvert.
Can I just interject? It's a type 2,
It's a type 2, correct?
so it's not a negative deck.
Oh,
Type 2 means there's no
impact.
doesn't,
no further inquiry need. Negative deck means you've assessed and come down. So that Joe Tremelli sent the type 2 resolution.
It's a standard
Right.
type deal on this.
Absolutely.
So moved.
second.
discussion, all in favor? Aye. Next is the approval of Walkabout Country Club's application for a cabaret license, which they do every year.
I'll move.
Have a second? Discussion?
Is any issues concerning the license? So we have any communications?
I checked with both of them. Fine, this.
And
Thank you.
this includes the site, related.
It does. It does. This is, allows people to have music for their weddings and for events and things that they do there.
Any capacity in that? In the license, it's the hour restriction and capacity, right? So.
Yes.
According to the town code.
Yeah. Subject to noise ordinance.
No, there's also the noise ordinance.
That's the right place.
Okay,
If we need to.
yeah, so all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next is a resolution to designate me as a supervisor to execute on the closing and conveyance documents on behalf of the town. This is for the Route 35 building. Closing on it tomorrow.
I have a question on that. It's actually separate from the closing statement. So, if I'm going outside the scope, just let me know. So we're gonna have, tenants post closing, right? So first of all, we're getting rent, you know,
That is correct.
during time and then
Rent adjustments for what was paid this month,
For August.
and then we'll be
the
receiving rents.
pro rata, whatever it is.
Yep, and then receiving rents till vacature, and we have assignment of the security deposits as well.
I have a question post closing,
Mhm.
since I have to recuse on this part of it. So let's say after we close on the building, the tenants don't leave. Like that, my understanding was that was the current owner's responsibility to make sure the tenants were leaving. So they don't leave by the end of September. What does that mean? We have to evict them? The town has to
And then
evict them?
summary proceedings if
So-
you're so,
Wasn't that supposed to be the responsibility of the current owner to make sure that the premises were vacated before we closed? Wasn't that part of the discussions at the beginning?
I can't say it was at the beginning, the contract has
September
had the
30th.
tenancies and the owner's tenancy going, I think, till the end of November.
So what is,
The owner himself, so and then.
With rent,
Right.
through that time period,
what's the time frame that it's supposed to be vacant of tenants?
with the exception of the conveyor, not September 30th.
Okay, and
I think November 30th for.
Correct.
The owner.
so if to ensure that we don't have an issue, just hypothetically, let's say we move the closing, we adjourn the closing until October 1, then we know that they're out. And we know there's no issue referable to the tenant. There'd be any. See, so there's pluses to that, to me, but we don't have to bring any proceeding into any kind of issue. And then based upon that 45-day time period, we know that they're out. We know there's no problem associated with them being out. Is there any downside in waiting the 45 days to ensure that we don't have any kind of issue there? From the town's perspective.
If you're asking me, can the closing be adjourned for a period of time? To some extent, but the rest of that discussion I would want to have with the attorney client, because there's
Okay.
contractual implications to doing that. If you told me, you need to do it Thursday or Friday, that's different. In terms of, a few day adjournment, if you're talking about kicking it out for 45 days or so. I think that's something I'd want to discuss with you before you decided to undertake that particular path.
Okay, so on advice of council, maybe we could discuss that in the executive session.
I personally would rather move forward, because again, we're already starting to line up the service providers that we're working with and bringing fiber to the office for our network connection. And everything else that's, and I'd rather not wait till October to do that. We want to be able to start moving in as people are moving out.
All I was asking is to have a discussion based upon advice of council about something that may impact
Yeah.
our legal rights, since we're gonna be a landlord after we take title ownership.
I'd rather go ahead and motion on the item that's on the agenda at this point.
Before I get too tempted to insert myself further in this conversation, I think I have to leave for the next two votes. Because it's still in contract. Okay. So just formally
Okay.
recusing on item C and F.
Well,
You
So,
mean,
Rich,
Ian,
How do you explain from one benefit?
Yeah.
You're saying that if we delay, it may improve our legal position relative to the tenants who were.
No, not position, just say, let's say if we, after closing, we become landlord.
Right.
And they're supposed to remain until September 30th. Unless they don't. Unless they said we're staying, you have to, because they've been in a month-to-month tenancy. Or another alternative is what we can do, council, maybe we can just, the amount of what the rent would be for 45 days, we could put a certain amount of money into escrow to make sure we're financially protected. And assuming that they fulfill the obligations that we anticipate in the agreement, then we're covered. We
If I
can
close
get
it
back.
tomorrow, you're already collecting rent, which we can certainly use to help with the transition costs and the moving costs.
Sorry?
Do you mean the rent receipts into escrow? Is that what you meant?
Yes.
I'm asking, clarifying. You
I
could
think
certainly
we
do
have,
that.
we have, so we have, some kind of, we're
If there's-
financially covered.
If you had to commence anything to recover possession of the property, you could certainly do that.
How many tenants are we talking? 3?
So one, two, three, four. Four tenants, including the seller,
So 3 others.
right?
So I still, I'm not very clear if we, our concern is that we'll have difficulties. With the tenants moving out, they don't move, whatever.
Right, we gotta
And
hire
how-
counsel to bring a proceeding to get them out.
Yeah.
It'll take a certain amount of time.
That could happen
Now,
when you delay the closing further out. That could happen as well.
Yeah.
So
What do
the
you
difference
mean?
is
If you're in mobile.
if you delay it till October
Lewisboro.
closing. What if they're still not out?
Well, then, we're not getting in, are we? I mean, no, but I'm saying,
Yeah.
that's why I'm trying to just protect the town, and that's why
Yeah,
that's why
so-
I'm talking, what, Tony,
Yeah.
I'm speaking of. Please, so I'm just trying to see if there's another way, if we put money in escrow, in other words, if, if, for example, we're spending $10,000 on this fiber optic and stuff, but then we have to spend $40,000 to get a tenant out down the road, then I want to be penny wise, pound foolish. I just want to protect the town's interest. That's all.
What is putting, how does putting money in escrow help us to, with that process, getting them out?
It doesn't. It gives us it just gives us money that there's a benefit. That's the same way in property transactions, you're holding money in case there's a certain contingency materializes. And if it doesn't, here's your money. Great, everything worked out. No problem.
Don't we have that in the balance fund? I mean, don't we have it in reserves?
This escrow money is the rent itself, you're saying, take the rent in order. to
Well, no, we take a certain amount of money, we're paying 2.2.
But then now you're talking about revising the contract.
I'm not, all what I'm talking about is, well, we weren't initially contemplating that we were gonna be a landlord of this
Yeah.
We
transaction.
were
Well,
from day one.
Yeah.
well, so what
So-
I'm simply saying is, let's put some money in escrow to make sure that what we anticipate is going to happen in the tenants leaving actually happens. So we're just we're financially protected. That's all. That's what I'm
I
saying.
think we can do that under a separate. I don't see the benefit of delaying this anymore. I think.
There is no benefit.
It's not a matter of delaying. It's a matter of putting money in escrow to protect the town's interests. That's all.
Well, so, I mean, we have a contract here, if the contract provides for that, that'd be great, it's not there, that we're going back to renegotiate.
Go back to renegotiate, which could potentially impact other things that we've been talking about. working on, so-
about renegotiating, you're saying.
So-
all I'm talking about is putting some money in escrow so the town protects its financial interest. That's all.
There's a resolution to designate Tony Gonzalez to execute closing plans the documents on behalf of the town for closing on the property at 8:35. Do I have, should I read the?
I would read it and then ask for a second.
This is the, I could,
And whereas the town board of the town of, I'm moving. Whereas the town board of the town of Lewisboro has previously authorized the entry into a contract for the purchase of certain real estate located at 892 Route 35, Falls River, New York. Now therefore be resolved that the town supervisor, don't move it.
sorry,
Town Supervisor Tony Gonzalez is hereby authorized to and designated to sign any and all documentation required for the town of Lewisboro to acquire title to the subject property, and be it further resolved that town comptroller Emmy Burnham is hereby authorized to issue all checks and or wire proceeds and funding due to seller in the above transaction for the remainder of the adjusted $2,225,000 purchase price, as well as any necessary related title insurance reporting and attorney fees incurred in connection with said transaction. Okay.
I need a roll call.
Well, again, the second, so I guess I just want us to, like I said, let's hold escrow at closing to cover the costs if we have to bring a holdover. proceeding, that's all.
We can make that motion separately.
No, it's part
Let's
of,
finish this
it's
one.
it's going to, we're authorizing Tony to execute the documents in the closing, which is fine.
Which we knew
Well,
this date was set already, Richard. For some time now, and now at the last minute, you're looking,
Not the last minute, all I'm looking to do is put some money in escrow at the closing.
okay,
That's all I'm looking to do.
let's get a roll call. Dan,
Yes.
Mary,
Yes.
I'm a yes.
No, you can't.
Actually, I could, I checked with
You can.
council.
Okay, it's a ministerial thing, so we
Yeah.
can vote on.
Rich,
So what do we have now? So we have 3 votes, right?
correct.
Okay. So the other vote, I just like the escrow to be put.
Yes, yes or no?
Okay, well. I'll vote for it, okay.
Thank you.
As far as
You
the,
get Andrew back in. Oh, actually, we have one more. Yeah. Okay, next is the authorized payment of the remaining adjusted purchase price and title charges, reporting fees and attorney fees for the transaction. There's in your packet. You received the closing statement.
That would be that resolution. Yeah.
Oh, that was part,
It's in the resolution, I know we're gonna close it.
well, the closing statement is a separate document to that resolution. Yeah.
Yeah,
so is that included in that
it
budget?
is.
Okay, so, Okay. Okay.
Now, can we introduce a new, do you want to introduce? Rich,
What?
would you like to introduce a separate motion as far as escrow goes?
There's no documents, you just made a motion, authorize
We
the supervisor
authorized the close.
to execute the documents at the closing. As it stands now, because it was foreclosed, there's no documents at the closing to present referable to putting money in escrow.
right.
So based upon your vote, there's effectively no basis to do so, nothing can be done.
All right, so next item is a resolution approving the traffic calming study on Richfield Avenue.
Do we want to?
It's delayed, yeah. I'm gonna pull up the. So. We, in the packet was, actually, it was a separate, it was in the packet, was the proposal. But then we got an updated one, so when it's in the packet has a price of 18,000, the updated one that was posted on our website, and it was part of your packet,
Was
I
less.
think,
It was
it's 11,000
Why did it go up?
without,
went down from 18 to 11.
The other way.
right. I can,
I just bring up some input on that.
hold on, during discussion, let me just preface what we're doing here. Hold on, just get that file open. Yeah, so this is I'll just summarize. Let's see, what's the best way to do this? This is not. So basically, they're going to do an existing conditions assessment. There's going to be a walking tour. There will be conceptual designs and high-level cost estimates for traffic calming solutions. You know, which may include speed tables, speed humps. It says here the conceptual designs will be developed on high-resolution aerial photos in AutoCAD and follow the guidance provided by the New York State DOT Highway Design Manual, the Manual of Uniform Traffic Control Devices, and other guidance consistent with Federal Highway Administration and New York State requirements.
As well as
So there's-
presentation and.
Yeah, this is, yeah, exactly. So basically, this will give us an opportunity. We've never hired, as far as I remember, I don't know, they've been here a while, a traffic engineer or an engineering firm to do any sort of analysis. So we talked about taking this first step. It is specific for Ridgefield Avenue, but we would learn from what they propose. And I've read some of their studies that they did for, in fact, I distributed to the board today, one that I received for Rye, town of Rye, it was, yeah. And it did, there was a couple of others they shared with me later in the day, but we can learn from that study. And if from that, we can figure out how to approach similar issues on other residential roadways. Here, Ridgefield Avenue it's a pretty long straightaway. Parts of it are straightaway. There's some curves. We did have a petition with over 20 households who signed the petition, basically asking that they'd like for us to do something. And I know they've been asking for this for a while. So I think having subject matter experts come in and give us some ideas, because we talked about speed humps, but where do you place them? How many do you place? How wide are they? How high are they? Those are things that we can only take a guess at, right? And with this report from this firm that specializes in this, we'll gain some additional insight that could potentially be used by our highway department to tackle similar issues with other roadways in town. So it'd be a good tool for us to learn from and use going forward.
I don't believe it's a good use of money at all. And I'd like to explain what's gone into my reasoning on.
Can you do that in discussion? Let's go through the.
No, because I may
Okay.
have a counter motion actually
Okay.
for consideration.
Okay.
So in speaking to people in the community, one of the things we were talking about is about possible solutions, is that to see if there was a possibility for speed cameras. And legislatively, that didn't pan out for Mount Kisco, which is going to be similar. So that's not possible as far as this year. So then, and by the way, I've had many conversations with both the police chief and the independently elected highway superintendent. So that's not an option. Then as far as, okay, are stop signs an option, putting additional stop
Actually,
signs?
can I just
And
add to that?
No, actually,
because it is an option still, but it's going to take time. It's going to be reintroduced at the state legislature next year.
as I said, through this legislative session,
Mhm.
speed cameras, the one in Mount Kisco did not go through. So as of now, it's not a viable legislative tool, right?
Mhm.
That's what I was saying. So then it's, okay, can you put stop signs? And speaking to the chief, the manual on uniform traffic control devices explicitly states that stop signs should not be used for speed control. So then you go into speed bumps or speed humps. Now, that may be helpful, but that's going to create a ripple effect on neighboring streets. And I spent a good amount of time yesterday out there. And part of the issue is that it's a narrow street. And first part of it. So, that's where part of the issue comes in. And then speaking to, some people in the community from a few meetings ago, you could make as a potential option, you could make a dead end to that street. That would address that's a tool that you could do. Whether people want that is something else, but that's something that would address the issue. And that if people wanted that. So, in order not to spend the money, so my motion would be to expend up to $2,500 for a 6-month trial for speed humps on Ridgefield Avenue, contingent upon approval of the police chief and the highway superintendent, who would have to execute on that. That's something that could potentially address the issue. That's something specific and tangible at a lot less money and can be done immediately. You don't have to wait for a study, which is going to tell us what we already know. There's finite options and what to do about the road.
So I really appreciate your taking the time to look closely at this, and your thought processes are fine. I don't know, sort of objection to it. I would just then offer that this is, as Tony said, this is kind of the first time we're going to be taking these type of steps very explicitly during the town board. I think it behooves us to engage an expert to look at this. You're talking about, let's test speed bumps, we still can decide where they go and how many, all the rest of that. And maybe there are other options that design, stipulations around how those are designed. I think this is not wasted money.
Well, again, but you bring up experts. I couldn't agree with you more. That's why I had multiple conversations with the police chief, who, by the way, did do multiple studies and talk about the issue as far as volume versus speed. And I was there, and it's definitely a cut through. The vast majority, I was a Sunday, but the vast majority of plates, which were Connecticut, which must go along Ridge. And so, I spent some time on, I guess, this Long Pond, seeing everybody rolled up to that stop and doesn't stop. So it was kind of a good flavor to spend some time out there and see what, what's going on. So that's my specific, that's going to be my specific motion to address the specific issue for 1/4 of the money and do something immediately, subject to, like I said, the input from who I consider to be our experts, the police chief who did studies on it, as well as the highway superintendent who has to decide where it goes.
The police chief is not a traffic engineer. I mean, he's intimate with our roads and he's seen the speed studies. And that's great. But these are folks that have been doing what 40 years, like it's all around the county and all different types of conditions, and are engineers and specialists in this area. I think there's a distinct difference there, and I would like for this first run to make that little
And
modest extra.
Okay, well, I'm putting a motion on the table for less money and immediate and tangible to try and address the
Now-
issue on Ridgefield Avenue. That's what I'm
But
putting.
let's quantify that $2,500. What is that gonna get us?
Well, based upon what I looked, it'll probably get us a couple of speed humps that the cost would be that the highway superintendent can get and take care of it, where he decides it's gonna be placed. That's why the highway superintendent independently,
Yeah,
he can
and-
figure that out.
and
Same
based
like
on-
he builds our roads,
Yeah, yeah.
he deals with us sewers,
And
everything else that he does.
And based on conversations, I mean, we've been having these conversations with the highway superintendent, with PD for several years now. The location is still really unknown. And, one speed bump, which will probably cost you, I don't know, $2,500 for.
Actually, 600 and something based upon when I Googled some stuff that.
Or you can't go by Google, we're a municipality, it's prevailing wages. and-
Okay, so double,
all that.
that's why I left room for 2,500.
Yeah, and then the problem is if those speed bumps are placed in a location where they are not serving the purpose, then we have to rip them up, which tears up the road. And so we don't want to make mistakes.
Rich is making a motion and the other second. Or
To be clear,
I'll second
discussion.
discussion.
To be clear, one thing that John Winter has made abundantly clear is that in no way does he want to have the responsibility of placing speed bumps on that road. He is adamantly against speed bumps in any manner, shape, or form for that road. He thinks that there will be more problems than a help. That's,
Yeah.
in his experience, and he's consulted with Cornell.
Cornell studies referencing exactly, right?
He's conferred with other towns. He has, he's done his homework as a highway superintendent. That's all I have to say about speed humps. I don't know what the solution is. I'm not an expert. So I don't know whether speed bumps are the solution or not. I would love to see some sort of speed camera or something there, because then we're not dealing that. We don't have to deal with the plowing issues. I would love to see that. Rich alluded to the fact that if there was, Mount Kisco tried to get speed cameras put in their town. It's a process that has to go up through Albany. The process that goes up through Albany, that means, there's got to be some sort of amendment to a law that's passed, which means it goes up, then it has to go to the traffic committee. And then you have to wait for their feedback, and then you've got to tick certain boxes. So I understand, Tony,
So related to it being near a school district
Yeah.
as well.
that was
one of
Mount
the
Kisco.
requirements.
Right,
No, I
so-
think I believe it's a. state
Correct, which is
requirement.
what I was getting to, is there's certain boxes that have to be ticked in order for the state in Albany to agree to speed cameras. There's certain boxes that have to be ticked. And if you come in with a proposal that doesn't tick all those boxes, it gets rejected and it never makes it out of committee. So it's my understanding, and I don't know if this is true or not, that they are looking to amend that process or amend those boxes that need to be ticked that might allow for an alternate proposal for speed cameras. But we're not there today, and that doesn't solve your problem today,
My
which is,
Right, exactly. My understanding, speaking to Assemblyman Burdick, it was successful in the legislative session for White Plains, which is Mary was alluding to, is in school zones. That seems to be the extent of which legislatively it's been successful to adopt legislation for speed cameras. By contrast, Mount Kisco was, I think, 7 areas, and speaking with Mount Kisco, which were not school areas. So that was kind of pushing the legislative envelope, I guess, to the next step. So, and in speaking to Assemblyman Burdick, and that's why I spoken with some people on Ridgefield Avenue, that if that was successful, then what we look to do here in town would be close enough to Mount Kisco that legislatively, as Tony was saying, in the next legislative session, you'd put something forward.
and just so everybody understands that process, you submit your proposal through your representatives at the beginning of the year, let's say. They go through their process of lobbying the different committees and getting all the things done and asking for additional information from the town. And then it comes back and they vote on it come around spring. I can only attest to this because I went through this in Harrison because they wanted to create a parking area, resident-only parking area, not a parking issue. And to create a resident-only parking, you had to go through this process. So we went through, it took from January all the way through May, June to do it. The Senate passed it, the Assembly passed it, and it's still sitting on our governor's desk. So we don't know when she'll get to it, right? So it's not gonna, well, or if she'll sign it, she more than likely will sign it, but it'll take probably till the fall. So when it goes in, you're looking at a process, hopefully we'll be able to engage in the process. Hopefully they'll change what the requirements are and we'll be able to do this. But just so you know, if we have our amendments ready to go up to our representatives in January, it's probably not going to be signed till the fall. So that's a whole, 9 or 10 month process, just to give everybody the idea. So I wish it was as simple as just sticking them on the, saying, okay, we're putting one here, we're putting one there. But unfortunately, there is that process. So.
I've also spoken to the superintendent of highways, John Winter, just at the firefighters parade on this past Wednesday, and he was also telling me the exact same thing about not wanting speed bumps or humps. I used the word bumps when I talked with him to ask him about it. I don't know if there's a temporary speed
Solution?
bump that we can put in there.
There are.
And he's against that as well, because
It's that in the hospital parking lots to slow people down, but
Yep.
I think that finding information from the experts might be the solution to our problem. We also want to make sure that the traffic doesn't go to other roads. We don't want to solve the problem for Ridgefield Avenue and have neighbors on either side be put in that, but after Ridgefield. So we want to find a solution.
Which is why I drafted the motion the way I did, certain contingencies
Right.
and a certain time frame. And if it doesn't work, then we look to something else, but we take a tangible step forward for a lot less money than the study. And we see if it works.
But again, the
And then-
problem with that is you're gonna have two speed bumps at a location. Richfield Avenue is a pretty long stretch. Is that the optimal location? We're not gonna know until we put the speed bumps in.
Right, that's
And-
trial and error, exactly. We're doing
Yeah,
something
it's
tangible for
trial
less
and
money
error.
and we're seeing if it works.
Right,
6
so
months,
you-
that's what it is.
Right, so in 6 months, then you're gonna spend another $2,500 to maybe add another additional two. And again, that's going with that number. I don't know
Well,
what
the
they
people
are.
there have been waiting for several years to do something, so I'm
Right.
getting a specific
But could there
motion to do
be-
something for a certain amount of money.
Yeah.
For a certain time frame to see if it works. If
Yeah.
it doesn't work, it doesn't work,
But
but we'll
could-
try something, that's all.
Right, but could there be other options that can be considered from the study without putting in speed bumps that may have to be torn up again and then damage the road?
But you're getting 4 times the amount of money and then you're gonna have something else based upon recommendations. So you'll be easily 10 or 20 times the amount of money in. And another few years before anything specific or tangible is
Well,
done.
that's, that's 10 or 20 times more, but.
Well,
it's
2,500, then you have a
$11,000 for-
$10,000 study, they're gonna come back with
Yeah.
something that's gonna be 50 or 100 or $200,000 by way of improvements.
$4,000 worth of signs. I don't know. I
Well,
don't know what they're gonna come up with. They could say, yeah, create a dead end, which is what we had proposed a while back. We proposed a dead end. That wasn't well received.
We have one of those, we have one of those in town, over in Cross River. Where, yeah, we do. So when you're
Oh, the,
coming up past, when you're coming up, yeah, on Route 35, when you're coming out
Big.
past it, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a dead end right there, so that you can't go all the way through and come up on the other side of the pathway.
Yeah, so that's a.
It's a short- that's a short distance. Yeah.
But nevertheless,
Yeah.
they'll look at all this.
I mean, I still think it's, you know, we get professionals to come up with, you know, some various ideas that we can look at.
All right,
Um,
are we voting on Rich's motion?
Here's the first and you second.
no, not a second.
That's discussion. You said.
You seconded
You did,
Rich's.
Oh, Rich's motion?
You-
yeah,
you did, and then we got into a discussion.
You did.
I thought it was,
No.
Yeah.
you're
okay,
seconding.
I didn't mean to do that. Can I retract my?
All right,
I could, we've done it before.
Let's,
Here we are.
let's do.
All right, so-
let's just vote.
I thought we were voting on the resolution that's in the,
Shouldn't make any difference. I
Yeah.
don't want to do it then.
Okay.
Okay.
all right.
Okay. Those in favor? All right, all those in favor?
of which, mine?
Yeah,
With
it's
this
on
motion.
the table right
Okay, great, so we have a motion and a second, aye.
Yes, no. I vote no.
Okay.
I vote no, with the understanding that Rich is really trying to watch our fund balance because we've been really kind of shy after what's been going on the past several months, so I'm a no, but I understand where he's coming from.
I also appreciate wanting to get the job done, but I believe that we should do it after we've consulted expert opinion. We've got the perspective of the people in the neighborhood, so with the evidence, we can make the right decision. So I vote no as well.
All right,
Okay.
so I'll vote no.
So now
Okay,
next,
so now motion on. Oh, Rich, you gonna vote? Your vote?
Aye.
Okay. No vote fails.
So now I move to approve the traffic calming study on Ridgefield Avenue as proposed by AKRF upgraded. to not exceed $11,000.
Sorry.
Discussion,
It's a waste of
More-
money.
more
There's a discussion.
all in favor? Roll call. Rich,
No.
Andrea,
Yes.
Tony's yes.
Mary Shaw, yes.
Dan Walsh, yes.
Like to know that it is,
New business item.
it's not, appreciated by many people in the community. But I would like to, add a new, business item, to approve the license agreement between the town of Lewisboro and Organic Choice Incorporated at 475 Smith Ridge Road. Is that all right with the rest of the board?
Yes,
When would you ask me to?
she's adding the
Yeah,
license
adding
agreement
the
for
item to the
Copia,
agenda.
also known as.
It's the,
Let's
just add it to the agenda, sure.
it's the right away.
They
Yes.
need to get this done, they're on a timeline.
Yeah.
So,
So I'll second.
Wait, it's on the agenda
You don't
now.
need, you don't need to make a motion to put on the agenda. Any town board
No,
member is
we
allowed to
just
put
need,
it on.
we just, no, we need a vote of the town board to put it on the agenda, so I vote yes to put it on the agenda. Is everybody in agreement?
Put it on today, you mean?
To put on today's agenda, correct?
Okay.
So we're all in agreement to put it on the
Yes.
agenda. Okay, good.
Now,
Now you,
I was kind of talking about it, but.
it's not sloppy, we're varying from the agenda and asking for permission, and now I'm going to
No,
move.
yeah.
Yeah, we have-
All in favor?
we have the license agreement. There were some typos that had to be corrected, and we have a corrected version that's been handed to everyone.
Yeah.
So it's
It's a clean copy.
clean copy.
And also has the exhibit next.
And it has the exhibit, which is also missing from the original, so,
I move that we authorize the supervisor to sign the license agreement between the town of Lewisboro and Organic Choice Incorporated at 475 Smith Ridge Road.
second,
discussion, all in favor? Oh, discussion?
Yeah, I just wanna, I'm gonna support this because we already have a template in town, which we've done in, on the licensing agreement, so I'm cool.
And it's COVID, so we want to support our local businesses as well.
Okay, all in favor?
aye,
Okay, excellent. And there's one other item, which is not on the agenda, but we had agreed at the last town board meeting to set a public hearing for the chapter 212 amendments. Which is the local law amending chapter 212 of the town code of the town of Lewisboro entitled Vehicles and Traffic. And this is where we were going to add commercial vehicles excluded to Mead Street, Escalator Road, and Increase Miller Road.
Motion to set the public hearing.
second. Do we have a date? September 8th.
September 8th, okay, that's the next meeting, yeah, okay, September 8th then, yeah, okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye,
Aye. Okay,
excellent.
great.
Who was the second? I'm sorry.
Okay, so now we have public comment number 2. Would anybody like to comment on the new business items that we just went over? Yeah. Yeah. Your name, Hamlet, you have 3 minutes.
I know, but I know.
I just wanted to let the board know that 3 years ago, we offered to pay for the speed bumps, removable humps that the town would have no issue taking up in the winter during a snowstorm, no problem. It cost the town zero. No one answered from the entire board those emails. Not a single one. It was more than one email. We offered to pay for a part-time police person to monitor. No one answered those emails. We said it multiple times. It doesn't cost you guys anything. Doesn't cost anybody in this room or anyone listening a cent. Nobody answered. I don't know how long it would take the study to come to fruition, when we would see a copy of anything, when a walking tour, but I did read part of the Mount Kisco, and they said because there aren't enough accidents, they can't warrant so many changes. We don't have so many accidents because we jump into the side. It's not fair. I know what they're gonna say. They're gonna say either there's not enough this, there's not enough that, or it's gonna cost the town so much money that we end up debating this and nothing gets done. Because if they say it's gonna cost $100,000 to do X, Y, and Z, you're not approving it. It's not gonna happen. Or we're gonna go back and say, well, maybe we should put in some speed humps and see how that works. So I don't understand why we can't just let us pay for it. So it doesn't cost you $11,000, put 4 down in different locations with the signage and see if it works. It will deter the Connecticut people. They'll go back to Route 35 where they can go 55 miles an hour and stop doing 55 miles an hour on our road, because that's what's happening. I don't see where this is going. And when is the study going to happen? And how long did they say it would take? And did they give you a cap on any other town and what they propose and the amount of money it's going to cost? Because I just don't see it. I think it was Peekskill that got approved to get a speed camera in a zone that was not dedicated to any kind of schooling. It went to the state. The state said that they were going to approve it. It was a one-shot deal just to try it. I think we can go that same route and we can ask them also. But meanwhile, put in the speed humps, put in the signs, do 4. It's not going to cost you anything if we pay for it. And if you put the $11,000 towards it, you'll see it will deter Connecticut traffic. It's got to be 80% of Connecticut speeders. We have massive trucks going down. Why we can't be zoned for non-commercial traffic too? Well, you can't imagine the trucks that go down. They're all going to Connecticut. And they're coming back from Connecticut. And we're jumping on the side of the road. So please consider this.
Could you give me your name, please? And
Sorry,
it's okay.
Should I give someone else's name? Gail Hillerly.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Richard Hollow by the one at 6 Bay Lane, which is not on Richfield Avenue, but it's a tributary of the road. Tony, I believe you said it's a straightaway, all this some curves. There are mostly curves and hills, and they're all blind. My wife was driving recently, somebody passed her in a curve. If anybody had been coming the other direction, there would have been 3-car accidents. I'm routinely passed on that road. We know what the committee that you're about to hire will say. We know what they will see. We don't know what they'll say. But my guess is that their recommendation, as Gail is saying, will be quite conservative. The road should not be a through street. There should be a camera on each end. I realize this takes legislation, but this is what we should be proposing. There should be cameras on each end, so we know who's going the full extent of the road in a passage. You can measure the time that it takes them to get from one end to the other, so you'll know whether they sped or not. If you want to make it deluxe, you can put some cameras in between to make sure people aren't passing. Because as I said, I'm routinely I don't feel safe driving on Ridgefield Avenue. In a car, I don't feel safe. Never mind our neighbors who are trying to walk dogs there and stay alive. So I hope it's not a waste of money. But I'm a little leery about saying, well, we need to bring professionals in to say what the neighbors have been saying for a long time. Trust me, if the accident eventually occurs where somebody is maimed or killed, it's going to cost the town a lot more than trying to do this right now. Get it right this time around. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Simone wants.
Yes, go ahead.
Simone Vista. I just want to thank everyone for signing that licensing agreement. I reached out to Rich, Andrea, Tony through Andrea and Mary, and I want to thank all of you. Andrea, I called 1,000 times, Rich, but the biggest one I want to thank is Greg, because this was a chase your tail kind of thing. Had called Judd at the planning board. Judd called Greg here, called this, met tons of people, know everyone that works in this town. But this board is a dedicated board, and I just want to thank everyone. On the other note, what I do want to say, and Andrea wasn't in the room, she recused herself, but she's an attorney and Rich is an attorney, and I wish you would have taken Rich's advice, because all he was doing is saying, close tomorrow, but put money in escrow. You do it all the time. I'm doing closings over 35 years. It's not a big deal. And the guy who you're buying it from is an attorney. He's not going to freak out. A lot of times the title company will hold money in escrow. You will be a landlord, and that comes with risks. I've had people, it takes over a year to get somebody out, and it costs a lot of money. So all I would say is, sometimes you get benefits. We have 2 attorneys on the board. That was a benefit. He wasn't saying, from what I heard, I don't speak for him, but don't close tomorrow, close today. Who cares? Put money aside. All night tonight, he's just been trying to save money. And Andrea gets it too. And if she was in here, she would have said the same thing. That's it. Thank you.
Anyone else? Oh, yeah, sure.
Sure, yes. I'm Jim Palmieri, I live on Richfield Ave. I want to make a bit of a more detailed point, and it has to do with some of the speed studies on Richfield Ave. And what we've heard is sort of a set of guidelines in which the speed limit is 25, and anything up to 37 is considered okay, not speeding, and then above 37, you're tagged as speeding. And so, you know, I think Richard is completely right. There's at least 4 or 5 blind hills. You just don't know what's on the other side. The road has no shoulders, and there's lots of twists and turns. And the difference between 25 miles an hour and 37 on a blind hill that you come over the top of is pretty significant. And so I think it's important to highlight that some of the assumptions made about the speed study and creating sort of a gray area between 25 and 37, I think just really doesn't stand up to the risks of that road. I think it's too liberal. I would cut that back significantly. 37 there is extremely dangerous. Thank you.
Did you ask? Any more things? Question? Yeah. Next.
Andrea, Twin Lakes, South Salem. I just wanted to let you guys know that Oskalita Bridge, I don't see on the agenda. The condition is worsening, specifically on the right side of the bridge. It's also essential to keep the route open for construction. So you guys can just think about those. Thanks.
Anyone else? No? How about on Zoom?
Yes. Barbara Mangione, I'm asking you to unmute. In a second.
How is that?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I'm having trouble with my. And I apologize. I really just had one question. I didn't really have time to look at the agenda. I got home a couple of hours ago after being in the hospital since last week. I guess I just kind of want to know how the town board decides, and I know this is a first time thing under most of your tenure here, what roads to do studies on. Because, you know, I've been complaining about our road for years, and I'm sure there are other people out there who've been complaining about their roads, maybe a little more sporadically. And, you know, it just seems to be a very, I don't really know what your procedure is to decide, okay, we're going to do here, because we heard from 20 people, which, you know, is wonderful. I think everybody deserves safe roads. So that was my question, how you all go about deciding, okay, we're going to do a study and we're going to do it here. And, you know, I hope it works out. I hope they get safe roads. I hope everybody has safe roads. And if anything turns up where, you know, this study shows something that could be used there, you know, I'm just going to say right here, please put it on Increase Miller as well. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Barbara. Carol Cernak, I'm asking you to unmute.
Hi, it's Carol Cernak, South Salem, New York. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I am most disturbed tonight by Tony's pushing the developer down everybody's throat without even presenting it to the public beforehand. Um, you can react, Tony, I don't care, but you're being very bullish and very bullying and um almost irritable. You're very irritable. And I think the town deserves better than that. Why do you bring in a developer without the other two locations into the purview? That's not how you do construction. That's not how you hire a developer. So I'm not sure where you're coming from on that, but I do have an idea, and it's because November is breathing down your throat and you're up for reelection. So that's why you're pushing your agenda. I want to thank Rich for standing his ground and fighting against the three people to the left of two people to the left of Tony. Um, I appreciate your points and I appreciate your method of working. Um, how do you bring in a developer without knowing the scope of the work? It doesn't make any sense. And a developer that you bring in at 14,500, half of the second bid, you know you're going to get add-on fees, hidden fees. Oh, that's not included in the scope. You're not acting in our best behalf, Tony, and I don't appreciate it. And you need to calm yourself and get real with the public. So I'm just tired of it.
Anyone else?
Thank you, Carol. That's it, Tony.
Okay. All right, next is the approval of claims. So I'd like to go ahead and motion the approval of claims. We have a second.
Second.
Discussion. All in favor?
All right.
All right. All right, polling of the board. We'll start with Andrea.
So I only learned on Wednesday or Thursday last week that we were closing on this new building. Didn't know tomorrow. It was a surprise because it was brought to my attention that a dumpster was being delivered to the property that we didn't own yet. And only upon my inquiry as to how we could have a dumpster delivered to that property did I find out that, oh, we're closing on Tuesday. That would have been nice information for the entire town board to have. None of us knew we were closing on Tuesday. None of us knew the fine details of the closing. And then, it comes onto the agenda and it doesn't even say when we're closing on the agenda. It just, as a town board member, I would like to find out things as they're happening as opposed to last minute. Things get added on last minute all the time. Sometimes we get emails at 4 o'clock in the afternoon on Monday and you miss one. I feel like I'm setting an alarm every hour to check my email to make sure I haven't missed something for the upcoming meeting, all the way up until the time that I leave my house. So it would be nice because we do, at least speaking for myself, I do try to do my homework and read all these things and reach out to people and get it all done and print out all the attachments because I like working from hard copies and not having a screen in front of me during the meeting. Sometimes I bring it, but I like working from my hard copies where I can write all over them. That's just me. To know what we're actually dealing with when we get here. I don't like the surprises. That's all I got.
Okay, Mary.
It was honored to attend the South Salem Fire Department's parade and carnival. And it is wonderful to see the sense of community. I know a lot of people, and we've just learned tonight, one more person has had surgery. So please take care of each other and take care of yourself and check in on one another. We are community and it's important that we look after each other.
Great, Rich.
I'm gonna keep trying to do my homework and pay attention to the dollars on behalf of the close to 13,000 people that I work for in this town.
Yeah.
I heard the Ridgefield Avenue inputs, I get it, you wanna do something now. We'll try to be aggressive on this and make sure that are working hard to, go put as in strong measures as we possibly can. On the, so nothing more, that's the last thing now, so. Go through this process with you as fast as we can.
Thanks, Dan. A couple of things. First, to address Carol Cernak, we're not hiring a developer. This is an architect that's going to develop some conceptual drawings that we can review. So it's a feasibility study with some concepts that we're going to review, and eventually we will hire an architect to do the full-blown design once we make a decision as to what we're going to build and where. And that's what we will use to then hire a developer. Regarding the Ridgefield Avenue, yeah, I know, yeah, we've been going back and forth, and I know we've had meetings at your house, and thank you for the great wine and cheese and all that, but maybe we'll have another one. But we did, I'll bring the wine next time, usually I do, but but I think the speed, so I'm sorry if I didn't, respond to you, but I know we had reviewed you purchasing or the residents purchasing a speed bump, and we had some concerns on liability. If that's something that we can get past that, and again, I have to consult with counsel again on that, but if that's something that you want to do in the short term, sure. The highway superintendent has been involved for as long as he's been here. Our new prior superintendent didn't want any speed bumps at all, or anywhere. And our new highway superintendent was a little more flexible, but his fear is placing speed humps in a location where then he's got to rip them up because they didn't do the trick. And then it ends up just, ruining the road, and you have a nicely paved road.
Temporary, they're temporary.
Well, the temporary ones so the temporary ones, we actually looked into that. They require mounting so that they don't move and drilling into the existing roadway.
Hey, we got it.
So
we're having a discussion.
Yeah, so we're not gonna have a discussion, but just to that point, our highway superintendent did look at that, and he said he does not want to start drilling into our roads. So that was a concern there. We talked about creating the dead end, right? Right in the middle somewhere, we figure out a spot and we create a dead end. And unfortunately, half that's on one side, or, however 1/3 or 2/3 of the residents might have to go the other way. And that was a concern. We talked about stop signs. I mean, we talked about a stop sign on the corner of Fay, right? And there was pushback on that. And even with the speed bumps, there was some pushback from some residents. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, there's been a lot of discussions about signage for the hills, correct? There's hills, and then we talked about signage, we talked about sharrows, which are those painted pedestrian marks on the roadway, right? That's a potential. So rather than us making a decision on something that's not going to work, and then we're going to get blamed for putting something in that doesn't work, we'd rather have professionals. That's my opinion, and I think the board agreed that we do that. Now, we can go back and investigate these temporary, and again, our highway superintendent needs to be part of that discussion, and we have to look at the legal aspects of using incorrect. Can't just buy them on Amazon. I know they sell them on Amazon, but that's not going to work. So we have to make sure that they're appropriate for highway use and that they work within the guidelines of the New York State Highway Management.
Well, something that we can consider now, though, is potentially adding it to the legislation that we just set the public hearing for. That's something that we can consider is the no commercial traffic is something we can consider at the public hearing. So if you guys remember to come back on September 8th and ask, that's your opportunity to tell us, hey, we want you to amend the proposed new legislation to include our street as well. Then we'll have the opportunity to consult with one another and make a decision to add your street to it, and then we'll change it. And we can vote on it that way.
So if it's not too late, because we haven't published the.
Right, so the notice of public hearing is going to set a September 8th date and time.
Right.
you have to have the final version of the law 7 days before that.
Yes.
And it's got to be on the site in its final form 5 days before that.
Mhm.
So we have
Plenty of
2
time.
or 3 weeks to add Ridgefield Avenue to the list of roads if you want.
We notice it.
Or whatever.
Which means we also need to then coordinate with Pound Ridge, right? Because they have part of that Highview is on the Pound Ridge side. So we have to let them know. And that's another avenue, right? We've tried, speaking of Pound Ridge, we've tried to get some changes on their side and they didn't, you know.
The good news
but-
is we can add the street now and have it noticed for the public hearing on the 8th. And if other residents come with other streets and they give us a list of the streets they want added to this particular legislation at the public hearing, we can determine at that time or shortly thereafter if we want to amend what we already noticed to include the additional streets. So we have time. There is a process. This Ridgefield Avenue can be added to the legislation now for the public hearing in September. That's something at the very least that we can do.
And the road.
If everyone here is in favor.
Yeah.
And then at the public hearing, if other streets are suggested, it's something that the town has to seriously consider as added to the legislation.
If there have been,
I think Ridgefield already is a note to the food commercial.
Is it?
On the Ridgefield side? I mean, I'm sorry. I'm okay, Ridgefield Avenue.
on
On the-
side.
I was thinking,
I thought it was.
I think during.
Law.
Buses are not allowed.
Yeah.
During a certain time.
The only place I've ever seen a sign like that, right there on the.
So
end of
anyway-
Ridgefield Ave.
We'll do that, yeah,
This is,
yeah.
I'm sorry to pull a Robert's Rules of Order, but we're in the middle of pulling the board.
Yep.
And we're not supposed to have a back and forth. Are you done?
Yeah, just how, another item, so yeah, according to the closing, I mean, I'm sorry if I wasn't specific. I know we tried to close, I have an email from January or July 11th. Where we said we're gonna be closing, but the bond resolution decision held that up. So we had to revise the closing statement and the numbers. And that's the numbers that were put together last week for the anticipated closing for tomorrow. The escrow idea, I appreciate what Rich is looking to do. We do have money in escrow today. So there is money in escrow that was used as a deposit for the purchase. But this is a different escrow that Rich was proposing, which would have required going back to the buyer and redoing the agreement, the contract of sale.
No,
That's
not
my
according to what council
understanding.
just said.
Go ahead, counsel.
I thought we were talking about.
Yeah,
Okay, but I think with Councilman Clarence proposal, let's keep some of the purchase price in escrow and not liquidate it yourself, which would require the sales.
right, which would require amending the agreement, the contract. Correct. Yes, the contract that we already signed. That's good sign.
Done all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's done all the time, of course, but
Yeah,
We
but
did
anyway,
it.
so it's, yeah. And I think that's all I had, yeah, I think that's, okay. Next board meeting is September 8th, 2025 at 7:30 PM here at the Townhouse. And now I'd like to go go ahead and motion to go into executive session for personnel and attorney-client privilege discussions. So thank you all for coming in.
second.
Oh, second. All in favor?
Oh.
Aye.